Good morning. I didn't know I was live. Good morning. Hi, I'm your host, Bob Pace, and I'm glad you found me. How to Fight CPS and Hang On to Your Children. This is a live stream. It's a daily stream. It's on twice a day, 7 days a week. And I'm on during the weekdays, Monday through Friday, on at 10 o'clock. I've started a new program for my attorney, Vincent Davis, where I make phone calls from 8 to 10, and I was on a call, and that's why I'm a little bit late getting on here. I also do calls right after the show at 11 o'clock, so I'm busy from 8 to 1 o'clock here with Vincent Davis. A lot of you have requested to get him as your attorney. And so what I do is I talk to you and go over the agreement and so forth about hiring Vincent Davis. Or maybe you want some consulting by the hour or something there. I'll help you with that. I'm so glad that you found me and that you're coming here and we are going to fight CPS. Now, welcome, Sergio. I'm so glad to see you come in, and welcome, Nisha from California City, California. I have no idea where Sergio Cavillo is, but if you could tell me, let me put my message up here. If you're going to text on here, please text me a question or a comment about CPS. When you do, please show me your first name, your city or county, your state, and if you're from another country, also your country. Also, please tell me about your CPS case. And I will definitely try to help you. We have people from around the world. We have Indonesia, Bangladesh, India. We have up in the Middle East, Libya, and Saudi Arabia. Then in Africa, we have Liberia, then Sudan, then down to Rwanda, to Mozambique, and to several provinces in South Africa. Up to Europe, we have England, Scotland, and Wales, and Denmark and Sweden. Across the pond, we have North America. We have 4 provinces in Canada. All 50 states have talked to me, and some from the same state, including the District of Columbia. South of the border has been Mexico. Then in South America, been Grenada. Then across the South Pacific, we've had New Zealand, and to the land down under, Australia, and 2 states there. So that's a range. That's over 1,000 people that I've talked to. That's over 1,000 people that I've talked to. Um, anyway, I'm here to help you about an entity called CPS. I say CPS, it is a government entity that is here to, let me see here. Okay, Sergio's from Covina, California. You're, I guess, in LA County. Covina, I think, is LA County. And I'd like to hear more about your case, Sergio, so I can help you. CPS is a government entity that was mandated by Congress to be created by social services to protect our children from neglect and abuse. So social services is responsible for CPS. And CPS has its own name. That's why I don't use the different names. There must be over 100 names of CPS. I call CPS the Child Protection Systems. Every system in every county in every state, also in every country, has a CPS system with names Like in California and Orange County, it's the Child Protection Services. In LA County's Department of Children and Family Services. In Arizona's Department of Children's Services. In Kentucky, it's the Cabinet. It goes on and on and on. So when I say CPS, I mean all the entities that have a child protection system. That's who I know. Apparently, I've talked to over 1,000 people, and there's 1,000 bad entities. I too was a victim of CPS. I've been fighting them for 15 years. It's been a long battle. I did hire Vincent Davis and got 2 of my children back. My young daughter was forced by the social worker because she was retaliating because we proved that she was lying. She committed perjury in court. And so she did a retaliation. She convinced our daughter, who was 12 at the time, to divorce her parents, her family, to change her name, to get a new birth certificate, seal her old birth certificate, get a new birth certificate, get a new social security card, and be adopted by a foster care family. All that was the brainstorm of our social worker. And that was because she was caught committing perjury. The bad CPS are terrible, terrible. Now, let's see what Sergio has to say. I had a case open since November. It's a maintenance case, supposedly them, but they even sent the cops over for a welfare check on my kid. They made false allegations, making up a report on January. Well, you're dealing with LA County, and LA County, I know firsthand, is bad. The reason why they got the cops involved is because they use the cops for intimidation. The cops are only supposed to be there to protect the social workers because people retaliate against social workers. So the cops are supposed to protect and serve. They're supposed to protect the social workers and serve not only the social workers, but also serve you guys, you parents. But somehow the cops have gotten a little overboard, and there are bad rogue cops and bad rogue CPS. Not all CPS and cops are good, and I'm afraid to tell you that. And one of the things I tell you, my rule number 3 is don't open the door to anybody. You were taught that rule very early on. Don't open the door to strangers. You don't know the policemen. You don't know the CPS social workers. So don't open your door. Don't talk to them. Because they will be there with bad news. I've very rarely ever seen a policeman come knock on your door and say, hey, I want to tell you, you're a great parents. I want to congratulate you. Or social workers say the same thing. It means trouble. And so many times police have shot people point blank. There's an airman, a black airman in Gainesville, Florida, May 3rd, that was shot in the chest 5 times. Mistaken apartment. They were looking for domestic violence. There's no domestic violence. He was talking to his fiance on FaceTime, and he died on the phone. Now, that is a very horrible example of our police, but there are many cases over the years of policemen shooting or taking someone down and using excessive force. I don't know where their training is because I have been trained as a policeman early on in my life because I used to work as an ocean lifeguard, and we had to take police training because we had to make arrests on the beach, and we had to go to court for the arrests that we had done, for the arraignment and so forth. And there we were taught how to work with the people, how to work with the public. Now, we did not carry firearms. All we have is a rescue can for defense. But these policemen carry firearms. Guns do kill people. They should learn how to maybe shoot someone in the foot or the leg or the arm or disable them in the hand. Why shoot 5 bullets rapid fire in the heart? There was a lady, again, it was a black lady in LA that was doing the dishes. She invited the sheriff in. He was talking to her. He didn't like what the lady was saying while she was washing the dishes and shot her 5 times in the face. She's dead. And there was a deputy with the sheriff who did nothing, who stood there, and only comment he made, should I go out to the car to get the first aid kit? And the sheriff says, well, I don't think she's alive. Now, those are examples. Yes, there are a few examples out there. The majority of the cops are good, but it's the bad cops that make the other cops look bad. So you got to be careful opening that door. You just don't know. You have to assume that it's bad news. So don't let it ring. Go someplace in the house and keep quiet. Eventually, they'll go away. They may leave some paperwork behind. You can look at it later. You can tell your family and friends to have a special knock or a special ring to get in. But you got to be really careful opening the door. And you don't let them in. There's no law that says you have to let them in. By you letting them in, you give them permission to enter your home, and they're going to start searching your home. You're not giving permission, you don't. Furthermore, if there's violence taking place with your child, and the child is caught in the crossfire of violence, they will break in the door and come inside. If they hear screaming and yelling and the children crying and so forth, they will break in. But that's the second way. The third way is they have to have a court order. It's called a warrant. It's issued by a judge. It has to be a legitimate piece of paper, signed by the judge, stamped by the clerk, so the signature is raised so it can't be forged. It's got to have a working date. You know, the regular weekday working. If it's a holiday during the weekday, it's a bogus warrant. If it's issued on the weekend, it's a bogus warrant. It's got to be specific. You got to watch out for whiteouts and things like that. They love to use old warrants from other people. CPS lies and cheats. They're not transparent. They're out to make money, the bad CPSs are. Anyway, Sergio had this case that started in November and January. They made false allegations. I never was intimidated by them, and I told them to go kick rocks somewhere else. Of course, I know they didn't have anything on me. Well, everything changed when I got a positive drug test. My son was removed. If you did a drug on your son, was it his pediatrician or was it a CPS drug test? CPS drug tests are false. They are bad. They don't know how to do drug tests. And they send you to a place that's not legitimate. They'll get a false reading. Because why? They pay for the drug test, so they're going to control the outcome. You know, also, by you talking to them, you're antagonizing them. If you're outside and a CPS or policeman approach you, you just be courteous. You say, good day. How can I help you? And if they say, we need to come in your house or we need to see your child, the report, and you say, I'm afraid I can't go any further with this discussion. I need my attorney present. If it's a legal matter, my constitutional right says that an attorney is with me at all facets of this arrest or this accusation. So that's what you do. You take their number and you'll get back to them. You be nice and courteous to them, but tell them you cannot talk further until you get your attorney present. And then you leave and you part your ways. Don't go back in the house. Get in your car and go somewhere else until they leave the scene. Until they leave the scene. You don't have to let them in your house. If you're outside, you talk to them courteously, you get back. That's what you do. That's my rule number 3. Because if you talk to them, they'll use it against you. They'll intimidate you, both the police and the social worker. The police is only there to protect the social worker. If they're saying we want in the house or something like that, they have to have a warrant. They're intimidating you because they're dressed with their bulletproof vests, their fatigues, their heavy boots, their heavy ornament around the waist where they got every type of weapon. They're intimidation. And they're only used by CPS to hopefully that you'll let them in or talk to them or turn your kids on. I was mistakenly fooled by a detective. He wasn't dressed to kill. He was in plain clothes. But he ordered me to my house. And I was afraid not to argue with him. I should have just said, I'm sorry, I need my attorney present if this is a legal matter. And I should never let him in my house. And what was waiting for me in the house was a nightmare. There are 5 firemen, 2 code enforcement, 3 social workers, and 2 uniformed policemen, all to search my home, which they've been searching for 5 years and found nothing. They were determined to find something. It was terrible. Now, Sergio says, I was never intimidated by them, and I told them to go kick rocks. Well, that is not proper because that's going to make them mad. If you're not intimidated by them, just say, can I help you? And then they'll say, we want to do this. You say, well, I get my attorney, and we'll talk then. Now that my son has been removed, I text, and I don't know what CSW, but I assume you talk about a CPS entity, a child protection system. She replies 2 or 3 days later. I ask what I need to do to get my kid back. Don't have family reunification plan. They just want me to test, but don't know for what. First of all, they have to have a court order to take your child, or you gave permission to take the child. The child right now is in their hands, and they're collecting $20,000 per month for that child. You have to understand that CPS is a money-making business. The bad CPSs are. It's trillions of dollars that CPS makes. $1 billion goes to the state, and then $1 million goes to the county anytime the county or the state asks for money. So the federal government sends over $1 billion, and then the state will send over $1 million to the county. And the county will use that money to give bonuses to the workers, to give incentives, and to make their life enjoyable with all this extra money. But what's happened now is Doge, I keep pronouncing it wrong, Doge, which was organized by our new president, who's headed up by the richest man in the world to investigate government waste. And there's a lot of it that they're finding, and one of them they will find in CPS. You're not supposed to make trillions of dollars. You're supposed to help families. And if you need to take a child from a mother and father, you need to reunify that family. It's important to reunify. Now, the laws were passed in 1974 to enforce CPS. There's been 3 time periods from the 1600s to 1875, from 1875 to 1962, and 1962 to the present. So for a long time, children have been helped out by societies, wealthy societies would step in and help out our children. In the 20s, there was a problem with labor. Children were abusively used for false on labor. In the 1875s, the American Native Indians, their children were taken, never returned to the families, put into private schools, had their hair cut, had their lifestyle changed. They weren't allowed to wear their clothing or practice their ways. They weren't allowed to talk their language. They tried to ruin the Native American Indians. It wasn't until 1978, 100 years later, they had the Indian Child Welfare Act, which said that if CPS takes an Indian child, they must find out that if that child is a registered Native American Indian with the 548 federal tribes or could be registered, then that child's turned over to the Indian reservation, and they in turn will put them with the Indian family and help reunify that child. In 1994, President Clinton signed into law the Incentive Act, and the Incentive Act gave additional money to the CPS, the Child Protection Systems, to have the children adopted into foster care, not family reunification, because family reunification takes a year. The parents have to take classes, and they have to take programs to help out with maybe their drug addiction or alcohol addiction, or maybe a parenting class of how to supervise a child, how to interact with a child. Those are things that they're supposed to do and help out the family. It's called family reunification. But it's sad because CPS, the rogue CPSs, have gone really, really bad. What you need to do, Sergio, is you need to get a real attorney, somebody who's licensed and trained in the area of juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. How long? It depends. If you've tested positive for the drug or your son's tested positive for the drug, we got to find out how the drug got in there. If you don't have an attorney or use their court-appointed attorney or public defender, you're doomed. And I'm sorry to tell you that. But court-appointed attorneys and public defenders aren't trained in juvenile law, family law, or dependency law. They're new attorneys. They're trained only in criminal law. And they will not fight for your kids because they got a caseload of 30 or more clients. CPS hires them. They pay them, so they're controlled by CPS. They will not fight for your case. You're wasting your time. So you ask me how long? Well, with me, it was 3 years. It was 5 years of false allegations, 3 years when they stole or trafficked my children and alienate my children. So every case is different. But one of the mistakes you made early on is you talked to them. Secondly, you've not produced an attorney to help you. Now, maybe you can't afford an attorney. I couldn't either. I had to sell my house to get an attorney. Good morning, Margaret. Good to see you. This week, Margaret has Vincent Davis retained, and she's coming down to see him. Margaret's coming down to see him. Okay, so you were tested. You came out positive. Is this child a newborn? Was this child tested at birth? What about the mother? Why can't the child stay with the mother? What have you and the mother been charged with? Is it neglect, abuse, or both? And what are kind of the details about it? I'm talking to Sergio from Covina, California. That's the Los Angeles County. Margaret, I'm talking to, is from St. Louis, Missouri. She has a tough case because it's her grandchildren that she's trying to get. Okay, you're a single dad. I understand that, Sergio, but I don't think you gave birth to the son. I think a woman did. Was that your girlfriend or maybe a lover or a partnership? Um, it's great that you want to take care of your son, but what about the mother? Where is the mother? And for all you're listening, this is a live stream. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host. And there's lots of things you can do in here. I see someone's already done emojis, and thank you so much. That's from Teresa Seri. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. You can do faces, smiley faces. You can do hearts. You also can do stars, and that's greatly appreciated. Also, if I would kindly ask you to follow me and write reviews, that's great. And then also, I'd like you to check the notifications so notify when I'm on and so forth. Okay, you're a single dad having fun. There's nothing wrong with that. But the child was made and given birth to a woman. That is part of the child's life. You have my key for the last 3 years. Now he is 4. So you've been raising your child at birth, but something happened to the mother. Did the mother die? Did the mother was on drugs and had to go rehab or something? I don't know. You need to tell me more, Sergio. Okay, the mother's not around. What happened to the mother? Did she just abandon the child and you're taking care of the child? And how did you test positive? Did you submit to CPS's drug test? You need your own insurance to do your own drug tests to disapprove them. What you do is you get your attorney to ask the court to approve the drug test you want to get tested on yourself to prove them that you're not tested positive. I'm sorry the mother's not around because a child needs both parents. It's very difficult. Well, that's really sad. Just don't want to be around. Um, that's the problem with a lot of our children. They grow up with no father or mother, or they grow up with only a father, or they grow up with only a mother. It's hard for single parents. Studies have shown the best parents are the mother and father, the biological mother and father. That's what helps the child grow up. That child learns from you everything you teach it. The child is 4 years old. He has a lot to learn. If it's LA County, my attorney, Vincent W. Davis, will do your case with a retainer of $5,000. His hourly rate is $500, and that's for LA County, California. That gives all you listeners an idea. He is the best attorney you ever find. He has trained for 39 years to fight CPS. He's professionally and licensed in the areas of juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. He also is a trial attorney. And if your case is closed, he can do civil lawsuits where he's made millions of dollars. He's gotten back thousands of children. He has a website. It's called http://vincentwdavis.com. You'll find all kinds of information on there. There's another uh, place where you can get information. It's at the bottom of my screen. You go to that place, http://stand.store/attorney VWD, and you'll find consulting. He has rates from $150 to $19.97 for consulting for 4 hours. As I told you, his retainer for LA County is $5,000, and his hourly rate is $500. But he will get your children back. And in fact, if you talk on my show by calling into my number, I need to put my number up. At 626-698-0990, by just you talking on the show, you get a free 15-minute consultation, a Zoom private meeting with Vincent Davis. That's what you'll get. Now, Sergio says, my kid doesn't have any sign of distress. Very independent. He dresses himself since 3 years old. Very confident. We don't deserve to be in this position. You and over 1,000 people, including myself, don't deserve to be in the position we're in. But unfortunately, you're dealing with a bad entity. A bad entity. Now, I want to say hello to Brandy Lee. She has been on my show. She's called in, and she is from Wyoming. And I'm putting her up because Facebook messages won't show on YouTube. So that is welcome, Brandy. Do you have some new information for me? Don't forget, I'm live, and you can call me at 626-698-0990. The other number you see, the 888-888-6582, is my law offices of Vincent W. Davis. There you can get all kinds of information. You can know what our schedules are with our live streams with me and Mr. Davis. You can also get books and guides. And we have the hottest book right now called The Grandparents' Guide in California for the Steps of Guardianship of Your Grandchildren. It's for $9.99, but if you use my discount code of PACE, P-A-C-E, all capital letters 50, you'll get 50% off. There's a guide of how to beat CPS, a guide to get your children back, a guide to sue CPS. There are lots of guides. There's lots of things. Also, you can arrange yourself, you want to talk to Mr. Davis. That's his office. Make sure when you call in, you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. It's a retainer. He will bill hours at $500 an hour against that retainer. When the retainer gets low, you'll have to put more money in there. No one has a crystal ball to know how many hours. But if you divide 500 into 5,000, that will tell you the amount of hours that would cover. And there's no guarantee about anything, but he's the best. And if you're interested in that, please call me at 626-698-0990 after my show at 11 o'clock, and I'll send you the agreement form. I'll help you walk you through it. And you can have Vincent Davis by the end of the day, and you'll have a big sign of relief. He'll strategize with you and walk you through on how you're going to get your child back. But you got to be open and honest with him. You got to be open and honest. He's a good man. And Nisha says he's awesome. I know that some of you in this room have retained him. And Nisha says she has worked to retain him for her case, her civil case. Yes, he is the real deal. I appreciate it. Thank you, Nisa. Now, Brandy says, I need to go buy one. I physically have my granddaughter here, but my grandson was sent to a children's home. You need to get that book, Brandy. It's only half of $9.99. It's like $5, and it's a book that will work you through it as a grandparent, Brandy Lee. And then Brandy Lee says, CPS is still trying everything. I tried twice to meet with Mr. Davis. He didn't show up twice. That's not good. I need to know about that, Brandy Lee. I need to know about that. What you can do for me, Brandy, is either call me after 11 o'clock and we can go over why he didn't show, and then we can figure out what happened there. Because we have the show producer, and you can write Grace. By the way, her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com, Brandy. You need to write to her and say you had 2 no-shows with Mr. Davis. Or you can call me. But if you write an email to Grace@vincentwdavis, she will help you get your 15 minutes of your talk with him. Your 15 minutes of talking with him. Thank you, Brandy. Well, you need to talk to her again, because I remember there was a scheduled time and she rescheduled it. So please talk again. Please talk again. Okay, we got Sergio again. Sergio from Covina, California. I have practically about half of what you ask. It will take me about a month to come up with the other half. I understand that. I had to sell my home to hire Vincent Davis. I had to quick sell my home, and I had worked 45 years. But I had a hard case. I had to come up with a lot of money for a retainer. So I lost my home that I worked 45 years for. Very, very, very sad. Very, very sad. But once you have the retainer for LA County, you deposit. I'll have agreement that you'll sign, and then Vincent Davis will be your attorney. And he is an excellent attorney. For some of you that want to know more about him, go to his website, http://vincentwdavis.com. Also, if you go to the website, http://stand.store/attorney Vincent W. Davis is shown on the bottom of the screen. You'll find many consulting packages, one-on-one with Mr. Davis. So you need to go to that. Now, again, if someone would like to talk on this podcast, you'll get a free 15-minute time to talk to Mr. Davis. All you have to do is call in to 626-698-0990. I use Vonage. That is the application that the company uses for the phone. It's on the internet base. You don't have to have Vonage to call in. Now, Brandy says CPS has no empathy. I agree with you. It does not have empathy. It's really sad. It really is sad. But today is March 17th. It's supposed to be a lucky day of the Irish. A lot of people are, enjoying the day, and I hope it's a good day, and I hope it's a lot of luck, because you guys are really straddled with the CPS entity, the child protection systems. There are corrupt ones around, and the ones in my room, you are the people that are telling me, and me, myself, I found them to be very, very, very corrupt. Please stay in touch, Sergio. I'm on twice a day. I'm on the evenings at 7 o'clock, 7 days a week. Monday through Friday, I'm on at 10, and the weekends, I'm on at 8. Those are all Pacific Standard Times on the West Coast of California. They're 1 hour live streams. That's 14 live streams a week. You can also be a guest on my live stream. All you have to do is email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's her email, and she'll gladly give you the link to be on my live stream. I can take up to 9 of you, and you all can be talking and helping one another and helping the people in the room. I enjoy people that can do live screen with me. Also, being the live screen or making a phone call will qualify you for a free 15-minute private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. Okay. All right. Good morning and welcome to the live stream here. And whom I have the pleasure of talking to?
Josephine Piscoli.
Glad to meet you, Josephine Piscoli. And you're from, I guess, in New York?
I'm from New York, yeah.
What county of New York?
Right now, I'm in upstate New York, Washington County.
Okay.
I'm a Brooklyn-born girl, raised on Long Island from the age of 6.
Okay. Do you happen to know KK Richardson from Brooklyn, New York?
No, I don't think I do.
Akima Richardson. She has a live stream like I do, and she does it on Mondays, but she has a CBS case, but she's from Brooklyn, New York. So, what kind of case do you have?
I think I might have seen her live. Okay, what I wanted to let everybody know, what happened to me on Long Island was my exes and his friends kept calling in for CPS reports, and a supposed CPS worker hid my children from me, took them. My lawyer investigated the CPS worker and found out that she was not legally a CPS worker, that she got her job because a friend of hers worked there. She swore to that on the stand. Also, she said my kids were sent to school dressed inappropriately. When my lawyer asked her if she spoke to the teachers and the teachers told her that, she said no, the teachers didn't tell her that the teachers said my children were dressed appropriately. She made up so many lies. My case was dismissed that day.
Congratulations. You must have had a real good attorney.
Yes, his name was Tom Sartain. He was appointed legal aid. And like I said, everybody needs to investigate your CPS worker. Make sure they have a college degree in social work. Make sure they have a certificate of on-the-job field training. This CPS worker had nothing. She just got the job because a friend of hers worked there.
See what it is about CPS workers. Typically, they may not even have a high school education. They're not trained or licensed or certified. They do need a college degree. They need a college degree in social work and a minor as a clinical psychiatrist. They also should have a master's. I mean, truly speaking, this is a real critical area. And, the social workers need to be well trained. And so I don't know if your county CPS requires them to be licensed or trained or have a college degree.
Yeah. Suffolk County, New York State, they have to be.
Well, then that lawyer could bring up and disqualify the social worker.
Yes. Well, that lawyer could bring up and disqualify. I don't know whatever became of her. I imagine she probably still illegally works for them.
Well, that's sad. That's sad because they're bad.
I would have sued them. I'd be a millionaire if I would have sued them.
Yeah.
They kept my two youngest children from me for an entire month.
Wow.
Yeah. Worst days of my life. Couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. It was horrible. Didn't know where they were, if they were okay.
Yeah. So when your case was dismissed, did you ever get that record expunged so they don't have a record of a CPS case against you?
It was supposed to have been, but it never was. It was supposed to all have been expunged, but I found out that it never was. That it's going to stay on my record for the rest of my life.
No, you can get it removed. You can ask your attorney to have it removed. Now, you said that you got, was that a court-appointed attorney or was that an attorney you hired?
Court-appointed attorney.
Well, that's good news because most court-appointed attorneys don't fight for their clients. They have a caseload of 30 or more, and they're not trained in CPS, like to deal with CPS.
Absolutely right.
And that attorney did help you. I'm glad to hear that.
It happened many, many years ago. My children are all grown now.
Well, I'm glad that you called in, but you need to get that expunged. You need to get that off your record because it will interfere you in getting a job, having credit with your home, buying a home, and those kinds of things.
It didn't affect me. It didn't affect my job. New York State Certified Nurse's Aide. I worked and studied with the Chief of Infectious Disease Control for 2 years, certified with the Red Cross and Board of Health, certified in geriatric and adult care. Thank goodness it didn't affect my job.
Okay, I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad it didn't.
Everybody, do a background search on the CPS worker. Please do that.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah. So, how did you find out about this live stream?
I happened to be searching through the lives and came across your live stream.
Well, I'm glad you did, and I hope you are able to call in more often and share your story because a lot of the people in this room. In fact, I looked at the clock. It's 9 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock. I have to sign off because I have to make phone calls now.
Okay.
But I want to thank you for calling in. And
it's 2 p.m. New York time.
Yeah, right. And I'm talking about West Coast time at 11 o'clock here. But I want to thank you for calling in and sharing me your story and the good news about your children. Sergio, keep saving your money. I know it's hard. Maybe you could get a loan from a family or friend and that you could get that in there. Maybe you could sell something that you come up with it. Josephine, you called in or you came in And hello, and you're watching from New York too, Josephine. Well, that's you,
Yes,
right? That's you,
yes,
right?
that's me. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so glad that Josephine called, and thank you,
I
Margaret.
just want to say,
Yes.
the day that everything was dismissed and dropped, when I walked out of the courtroom, I got my kids back right then and there.
Oh, God bless. That is beautiful, Margaret.
Yeah.
From St. Louis, Missouri. You're going to see Vincent Davis this week. Good luck with that. Brandy Lee, it's so nice to hear from you. Get a hold of Grace and get a reschedule a one-on-one consultation with Vincent Davis on a private Zoom call. And Nisha, keep fighting. Um, Nisha has a horrible case where her newborn had rickets and her bones would break real easy, and they thought that the parents were breaking the bones, and that wasn't the case. So hopefully that goes well for you too. I know you have a court case coming up. Thank you all for listening. I have a half a dozen of you in the room, and thank you for your emojis. And I'll be on again tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific time. God bless y'all and keep fighting for your
I hope I
kids.
saved your life.
You bet. And this is Bob Pace signing off.